Hey everybody, Gary McGowan here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different, but kind of the same. You see, the Liberal government, as we all know, just dropped the budget last week, and we're going to dive into it. I'm going to give you the Gare's notes, if you will, but before we do that, hey, do you like my shirt? Buy dirt? Yeah, I know you do. And listen, if you want to get cool shirts like this and many other things, go check out briccata.com. It's over here, and a lot of really fun stuff and fun real estate shirts. briccata.com. Use the code there to get 15% off, Briccata15. And you too can look like me, but way cooler, over at briccata.com. Anyways, let's roll the intro and get right into the Gare's notes of federal budget. All right, so federal budget just dropped, and I'm going to talk to you today from the real estate perspective because we know there's a big portion of it, and it was primarily focused on the Canadian real estate market and what's it doing, and trying to, allow more people to get into the market, create opportunity. At least that's what was being said. And we're going to dive into some of the things that perhaps you overlooked or the government was talking about, and as I said, we're going to do something a little bit different, but kind of the same. Well, you'll see kind of the same as we go through this. So I got my notes here, and I'm going to throw up some slides, and we'll go through this real fast and give you that overview of things that we need to be aware of. Okay, so federal budget 2022, my thoughts, and let's see what we have first. So the first thing that's up is the tax-free first home savings account. Lots of things happening here, and here's a couple of the highlights from that perspective. It's just like an RRSP. However, it's capped at $8,000 a year. So let me back up. This is a new way that we can save our down payment funds for our first home. It is for a first home only. You can't use this more than once. First home. And as you can see there, it's capped at $8,000 a year to a max of $40,000. You cannot carry this forward. So if you put in $4,000 this year, you think you have an extra $4,000 or a total of $12,000 the following year, you cannot do that. It is a max at $8,000 a year. And this provides us with another tax-free way to save money and to borrow from it or to withdraw when you're ready to go purchase that home. So lots of notes in there. You cannot carry it forward, and that's the big one. And this, it's a step in the right direction, if you ask me. You can transfer funds actually from your RRSP to your first home savings account, which can be a good thing because in your in your RRSP savings account, as we know, we can borrow funds there. But what you got to remember is we have to repay that back. So that's the home buyers plan. No change. You can withdraw up to $35,000, and you have to repay that over 15 years. So there's no changes there, as I mentioned, and that is yet another tax-free system or tax-deferred. RRSP is not tax-free. Let's get something straight here, my friends. It's a tax-deferred system. So I put RSP funds in today. That means I'm paying tax down the road, hopefully at a lesser tax bracket than what you are today. The next one is the home buyers tax credit. This again is for first-time home buyers, and it's currently at $5,000, and it's going to move to, as you can see here, $10,000, which equals to approximately $1,500 in real money. That's really what it boils down to, and that can be retroactive back to January 1st, 2022. So that's pretty cool. What do we have next? The next one is the flipping rule. Now, friends, this already exists. You can see it right here on my slide. It already exists. So the government came in and said, we're going to tax the property flippers that are continuing to flip those properties. Well, that already exists, my friends. And that's considered in the real estate investor world as active income. When we go and buy an investment property and then we go sell it years later, we are going to be taxed. There's no surprise that we're going to be taxed, but that's going to be capital gains, which is a much it's a less tax than active income. Active income is income, like, think about your employer. Your employer pays you every week, every month to work at your job. That is what we consider active income, and that is what is going to be applied here to all property flippers. And really, what they're going to do, they're going to go after that low hanging fruit. And they never really said in the past what's considered a flip or active income versus something that I'm looking to sell down the road, where I sell it as capital gains. And they never really said the exact amount of time. Now they're looking at, if you own it less than 12 months, you will be paying active income tax on it. So be ready for that. And will that slow people down? If the equity is there, it's not going to slow it down at all from that perspective. But it is a way for the government to earn some extra income, I guess, from that perspective. So that leads me into GST, HST assignments. This already exists. You already pay HST on your assignment. So if I go purchase a pre-construction condo, because that's the easiest example, and I buy it for $700,000 from the builder, and I'm not closing for another 24 months, and perhaps in another 12 months I decide to sell that contract, to assign my contract to another buyer for $800,000. There's a $100,000 difference there. So that $100,000 is what is going to be applicable to HST. That has already been in the works for many, many years. And a lot of people, that when they go sell their assignments, they don't take that into account. So you got to be ready for that the owner or the seller will be paying HST on that, or has already paid HST on that. So be mindful of that. See, that this already exists. And it's amazing. The liberal government came in and said, hey, we're doing this and we're doing this. Well, my friends, that's already there. So that should be of no surprise to people that do assignments every day. They already factor that in. They already budget that into their profits. Okay, the multi-gen Reno tax credit. This is also an interesting one, and it's refundable up to $7,500, as you can see there. And the interesting piece here is, in order to get that $7,500, I have to spend $50,000 in order to recoup up to $7,500. But this is cool, and there's a lot of neat things around this. So if I'm building a suite for my parents or my in-laws, that type of thing, that's what this is referring to. So they're trying to create, as we know, there's a shortage in, we'll call it retirement communities. There's a shortage there for sure. So a lot of people are choosing to stay in their homes longer. We know that. That's why we see perhaps, that generation, the older generation, the senior generation, if I choose my words correctly, they choose to stay in their homes longer because that they can, and now we're having the opportunity to renovate that home so they can stay there longer, or bring their children in, or vice versa. So that's kind of cool from that perspective. Now, we all know this one too, the 2-year ban on foreign home buyers. And this is really interesting because immigration is at an all-time high, which is it blows my mind, because on one hand you have the government say, nope, no foreign buyers right now. Yeah. On the other hand, over here we have, hey, come to the country of Canada. And of course, I get it. Once you're here, perhaps you're a landed immigrant, or you have a permanent residency card, and things that could look a little bit different. But I can tell you, the last number of sales that our brokerage has done, it's been very few foreign buyers. Now, it might be immigrants to Canada, but they're not, I wouldn't classify them as foreign buyers. I don't know what this is going to do into some of the bigger markets like Vancouver and Toronto. I don't know if it's going to slow it down at all, because a lot of people that are already buying properties here, call it investors or what have you, immigrant investors, we can say, they're already here. And it's just a matter of moving money from the country that they came from to Canada. So I don't know what that's going to do. This one is really intriguing to me. It's interesting. I really don't think it's going to slow the market down the way that they think it is. In any case, there you have it. Okay, next one. This one is interesting. We'll kind of end off with this piece here. They want to double the pace of building. Yet you can see in my slide here, Toronto is increasing DC, which is development charges, by 49% this year. So what's a DC or development charge? That's the fee that a builder pays the city of Toronto or anywhere. This could be the city of Calgary or what have you, to build. And it's for, everything from the schooling to the infrastructure that's required for that property. So if they're having a 49% increase, who's going to end up paying for that? Yeah, the buyer. That end user is going to end up paying for that increase. Now, granted, I get it. We have to increase the capacity and the facilities of the Toronto of what it requires. So that's everything from sewer to water to electricity, all of that kind of stuff. However, you have the Canadian government that says that we need to build faster and build more. And there's something like 35, I don't have that number correct. I was going to say 35 million. I think it's 3.5 million more people coming over the next few years into Canada. And we need to increase capacity of what that looks like. Yet we have cities like Toronto, the biggest city in Canada, increasing development charges by 49%, which is going to increase pricing to the end user. And the whole budget is geared towards how do we make home ownership more attainable for more Canadians? Well, we need to figure this out together. And at the end of every budget, the question that I always like to ask is all of the things that they put into place here, whether it's your local towns, cities, provincial, then federal, whatever decisions that they're making, is this going to increase supply? Because that's what we need. We need an increase of supply to really level out that playing field. And if you felt it around where you are, you'll know that supply has been increasing over the last several weeks here in Canada. And I'm north of Toronto, and it's definitely increasing. And so is the buyer demand. Is actually come down a little bit. So that means the pricing's come down a little bit too. And in some areas, it's down about 15% off the peak in December and January, just a few months ago. So interesting things that are happening in the Canadian real estate market. As of April 13th, when I'm recording this, the Bank of Canada just increased the interest rate by another 50 basis points. So we're seeing some real changes coming to our market. And we got to be very mindful of what that means to the debt that perhaps people have, whether they borrowed off of home equity line of credits or whatever. Perhaps they're on a variable rate mortgage. What does that look like to their cost of borrowing? And as that increases, perhaps our values come down. You see, even though the interest rates have been increasing, and we're going to get most likely another couple of interest rate increases over the next 12 months easily, our market is already starting to soften. So the government's going to take credit for it. Yeah, markets always play out to the ebbs and flows of buyer and seller demands, and it's already softening here in the GTA, and I know right across Canada. Anyways, that's it. Love your comments. That's kind of Gare's notes of what's happening here within the federal budget from the housing perspective. Here's what I know. People buy and sell real estate every day for 1,000 different reasons. It's always a great, for me, it's been fantastic to be in through all the different ups and downs and peaks and valleys. Remember, my friends, I've said it before on here before, when in doubt, zoom out and you'll get a better perspective on everything. That's it. I'll see everybody on the next video. Bye for now, my friends.